Everybody, it's Mike from Missouri. Today we're going to get this case 1840 frame that's been stripped of everything. We're going to get it rolled out of the shop and get it ready to pressure wash. We got the shop cleared out, the truck pulled out of the way. I'm going to just push this backwards and then might grab the forklift and bring it the rest of the way. I don't know yet. Maybe the jack, get this thing, maybe get it turned so I can head out the door. On the prior video, we stripped all the hydraulics out of the machine. The twin pump, the rubber lines, the hard lines, drained all the fluid out of it. The diesel tank over here is completely drained. There's some water in it. Hydro tank's completely drained. Still got the wheel motors on because I didn't want to get a bunch of water in the chain cases, but they're plugged off. So just getting it ready to pressure wash so I can get the heavy grease off of it, prepare it for sandblasting. I'm trying to jack this thing up, and you guys are probably wondering, why in the world am I doing this on the gravel when I have a concrete pad right in my shop? The answer is I don't want all that nasty grease staying in my concrete. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, but the grease and stuff coming off of this machine isn't just like your regular grease where it washes off easy. It's like nasty tarish stuff because it's been mixed with dirt and been sitting around forever. So I'd much rather have it on the gravel, and then I could scoop up the gravel and get rid of it if it gets too bad. But this machine isn't too terribly heavy anymore with everything removed. Otherwise, I wouldn't be trying this. So I think it'll be all right. That's not gonna work. I don't know if I mentioned, but the reason I'm doing this is because I want to get these tires off so I can clean around the hubs better. That area's got a lot of dirt packed in. That should be safe enough. Well, I got all the wheels and tires off. yesterday. I'm up and going early this morning. Off camera, I also made a little cover plate for the fuel sender. Don't get any moisture or later on sand inside that. Plugged off the parking pins, so everything now is completely plugged off, and we're set up to pressure wash. And overnight I got a delivery of this, they call these turbo nozzles. This is just a cheap $15 one. Never used one before, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that works. I'm gonna spray this whole thing down with a LA's Awesome Cleaner, which is a pretty good degreaser I get at the Dollar Tree. Probably let it sit a little bit after I soak it down. So let's get started. The bottom of this thing is really nasty. I'm not sure it's ever been really cleaned very well since it was purchased. Alright, it's been about 45 minutes. I switched to the 0-degree tip because it just had a lot more power on the pressure washer. But there's like, I don't know if this road tar or what, but it's doesn't really want to come off. I'm gonna have to chisel that off, and it's like concrete. The pan came pretty clean, and so did the pockets where the loader arms go. But really, again, it's the axles that are causing me the most problems. So I'm gonna have to work on chiseling that. I'm completely soaked. So I've been scraping on this thing a few hours now, and all this black stuff is it's like tar or asphalt. I think this machine must have worked in construction, like road construction, because I found concrete and all of this tarry stuff. And the sandblaster, anything that allows the sand to like bounce off, so tar or silicone or even some like sticker residue, it's not real good at removing, so I need to get all that scraped off. Well, I am back in the shop after 2 rounds of pressure washing. It really came out pretty good after, especially after I went and hand scraped all of the tar off, and then I went back over it with the pressure washer. There really is almost nothing left as far as dirt or grease goes. The hydraulic motors spit oil out of the ports when I was rolling it, so that's not a huge deal, but other than that, it's really clean. This looks terrible, but it's just years of stuff caked in there. Everything is off and gone. It should clean up, but these pockets were just really difficult to get clean. I'm afraid if I sandblast it out as it is, I'm gonna get sand in the hydraulic motors or the chain case. So I'm gonna take it all apart, everything off, and then sandblast it, and then I'll wash the chain cases out with water. I did wash out the hydraulic tank and the fuel tank. The fuel tank had all kinds of nasty stuff come out of it. I let it open and blew it dry. I'm going to bore scope it again. But let's get these axles off of this frame. All right, we're going to see how full this chain case is. This is the fill plug. That's about the right level. I'll go ahead and put that back in, and I'm going to go actually drain it back here at the drain plug. The drain plug is under the machine in the back right and left corner, right where I got my jack stand. I'm going to have to reposition that. Okay, I got the jack stands moved. All right, so here's the left rear wheel, and then on each side underneath, one here, and then one over there, the drain. And just for me, it's all packed full of dirt, so I wanted to get that all cleaned out before I'm going to get the tool in there. Okay, and this one's actually a square drive instead of a Allen. 1/2 inch. A lot less water than I figured there'd be. While that's draining, I'm going to show you a look at this mess. So you see how there's a tab casted into this piece. It must have broken off and they welded this contraption on there. This bolt's kind of cocked out. Looks like they welded that on too. I don't like this at all. It looks way too homemade for me. I know it's probably functional, but also let me show you something else I'm concerned about. On the front corner of that same axle, we're leaking fluid, it looks like from here. I'm afraid that there's some sort of issue on this panel. I see some grinding there. I'm really hoping that there's not any cracks in that plate. I've seen that on these machines before in pictures. So I'm crossing my fingers. First thing I'm going to do is remove this cover plate. It is on the opposite side of the wheel motor, and there's a bearing in here that supports the shaft, the overhang. I've never taken any of this stuff in my life apart before, so this is a first for me. Okay. That's a good start. No damage to that shaft. I'm going to get you a good close-up view of what's going on inside here. Try to anyway. So those chains, one each goes to the front and rear. As you can see, the chain is pretty big. I'm blocking the light. There's my finger. I'm happy to see that That shaft is good, and that bearing is good. I believe that's a common problem. Okay, moving on. Some water coming out of there. It could be from me pressure washing it. I don't know. Probably. Now, some newer machines have chain case covers here to help you get this chain off. I don't know if it's a good thing that this one does or doesn't have it. It seems like the ones that have it have problems getting water inside of them. So I guess Case decided that it was certainly possible to service it, just not as easy. Well, if I was smart, I'd just pull that hydraulic motor out of there, which is what I think I'm gonna do, because that should relieve all the tension off of both sides. So let's get that motor pulled out of there. All right, I have my doubts that this little impact's gonna take this loose, but I'm gonna try it. Oh. Okay. That's awesome. Okay, so those chains don't fall down and damage something. I'm gonna put some rags or something on the idler side here. Piece of styrofoam. Okay, I'm gonna pull it out. There she is. I should have all kinds of slack. And I'll take the gear out of here. Huh. Okay. All right, I didn't see where that came from. I have to check back in the video. Surprisingly hard to get this chain off of there, even with all that stuff loose. There we go. All right, I'm going to reach in here and take this chain off. Just pull it out. Oh, here. Okay, that's not gonna work either. Like I said, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't even know if the sprocket, surely it'll come out of this. Surely the hole's big enough. Eesh, funny bone on that stud. Stupid stud is in the way. Again. Alright. I'm gonna have to take that loose. Alright, should come off now. Well, it has all the common issues with these machines where people try to take off with the locking pins in the machine. It causes them to take these chunks out. These are really pricey. Well, as far as I can tell, there's no problems with the metal out here. It actually looks pretty good inside considering. I got the chain back on. I put it on the same direction that it was running in the machine. Okay, I got this cleaned up a little better. Everything looks really good. I guess the grinding that I just saw in here was, I guess not really grinding, probably a wire wheel to clean up the old gasket surface. And, all looks good, no cracks. Really extremely clean on the inside. I'm shocked how good that looks. Happy so far. So it was the same thing on this side. The plug was all full of dirt, so I couldn't get the socket in, got it scraped out. I think I got some water in this side. That's water. Yep, oh, not too much. Definitely nastier than the other side. Yeah, this is mixed with water. Definitely see some signs of water in the oil. Shaft isn't as good as the other side. It's not terrible. Here's a look at the shaft. It's not unusable, just feels rougher. There's definitely some pitting on it. I gotta break the That one seems to be in better condition than the other side. Last one. That's never good. Play there. Not sure if that's normal or not. Okay, I got the right-hand rear axle on the bench here, the one that had this slop in the gear. Pulled the cotter pin out. This nut was just barely more than hand tight. Took almost no effort at all to get it off. The splines on both sides look really good. So I don't really see a problem with that. And it looks like there's some, I don't know, it's some of the gear case oil we got down in here. Based on the discoloration on the sprocket, it looked like it had been sitting in water. Or this should never get that high. There should only be like an inch of oil in the case. I don't want to go back in this machine. So skipping steps, like just calling this good, I'm trying to avoid. I think my best bet is to press this apart to see what kind of condition everything is in. The bearing and seal kits for these hubs aren't terribly expensive. Get the seal pulled out of here. Don't see a brand name on it. Bearings definitely have gotten case oil and chain case oil in it. It's supposed to be filled with grease. Well, I was going to press this apart, but just lifting it, it's come loose a little bit. And I'm not so sure that that's a good thing. Hopefully the shaft doesn't have any wear issues where the races are supposed to be, causing the races to slide. Found two pieces of tubing here that I'm going to use to support the housing. Oh man, I think I'm going to have to bring the press down another one. Fun fact about this press, I built it from scratch, including the pump, and the cylinder is a one that I found on Craigslist back when it was popular, and I reworked it and put a spring inside so it returns, and made the handle and these handles and the slip all on my lathe. Pretty much copied most of it from a Dake. I took measurements from one. All right, come on. There we go. I don't think it's going to take much at all to press this. Nope. Let's go lift the whole thing up off of here. I'll meet you back over on the table. Come on. Yeah. That bearing is nasty. All right, now that I got the proper setup, there we go. Not so hot in there. Definitely not packed with grease like it's supposed to be. Again, no brand name, probably China. All right, use the parts washer to wash these up. There's no brand name on them, which usually means they are not high quality. Some pitting, the mark on the rollers. This one's a little worse. Again, no brand name. Another example of always inspect these parts, because this would have been good for maybe 6 months or so, if that, and I would have been right back into this thing. So instead of doing it right and replacing the O-ring, it's always best to just goop a bunch of silicone around it and call it good. This kind of stuff drives me crazy. I know, I guess if you're in a pinch, you do what you got to do, but there's so much of that on this machine. Well, they're serious about gluing this baby in there. It's on top and bottom of this O-ring. I mean, I think these are like 15 bucks. All right, the last thing we need to do to get this completely stripped is to hit those inner races out. You can get a chisel right on the edge of it. And just work both sides. All right. And there's your race. Flip it over and do the same thing. All right. This housing's ready to get cleaned up, and once everything's cleaned up, you can put your new bearings and seals in. You want to always take a real good look at your seal surfaces. If they're real grooved, the new seal's not going to do a whole lot. There's some options for repairing that, but I'm going to do the one other axle on the front that looks questionable. I'm not going to bring you through the whole thing, but I'll show you the results of it once I get it apart. All right, guys, well, I went through and took every single axle apart, and I really didn't find anything exciting. The other sprocket on the other side was actually in better shape. The axles are all good, the chains are all good. So overall, there was no big surprises in the chains and drive mechanisms, so I'm happy about that. I think overall I'm getting a pretty good parts selection, and I think my 2,000-pound casters are possibly approaching their capacity. But anyway, I'm going to end this video here. I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you on the next one as always.